Allah the Almighty, Allahu Allah, protect me and guide me, Allahu Allah, oh, to your love and mercy, Allahu Allah. Ya Allah, don't deprive me, Allahu Allah, from beholding your beauty, Allahu Allah. Oh my Lord, accept this plea, Allahu Allah. حسبي ربي جل الله، الله الله، ما في قلبي غير الله، الله الله، على الهادي صلى الله، الله الله، لا إله إلا الله، الله الله. वो तन्हा कौन है, الله الله, बादशाह वो कौन है, الله الله, मेहरबा वो कौन है, अल्लाहु अल्लाह, क्या ऊंची शान है, अल्लाहु अल्लाह, उसकी सब निशान है.
Is the principal partner of TA Dairo and Co. TA represents Trimidhi, Adisa, Dairo and Co. Barrister at law. Is an Ustaz. Is a former Amir of Junudul Islamic Organization of Nigeria. He's going to talk to us about the laws that we practice and the law of Allah. Any conflicts, if there are, what do we do? He's not just going to talk about it. In the real sense of it, he's going to examine the concept of justice under man-made laws and the laws of Allah. It looks so weighty and a little bit technical. But you know, lawyers are, by practice, expected to unravel knotty issues, and they are learned. And it is on this premise that I'm inviting one of our learned brothers and stars, a barrister at law, Barrister Trimidhi Adisa Dairo, to come forward and do justice to this topic. You are welcome. Marhaba bikum. Allah wa salam. Takbir. Come here. I would thank you that you are a good Muslim and you have shown this by your timely attendance. So I'll hand over the microphone to him. He has the next 45 minutes to examine these laws, man-made laws, and the laws of Allah. And we will also welcome contributions if there are. Obviously, there will be questions and answers.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحابه ومن دعا بدعوته واتبع هداه إلى يوم البعث. أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد أيها الإخوة والأخوات السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
All praise is due to Almighty Allah, the Creator under the laws of Allah. We will attempt to look at these concepts with particular emphasis on the concept of justice in the Sharia, because we are here seated as Muslims and we are more interested in knowing about our religion more than any other. It is without doubt that human life on earth will never prosper or attain any stability unless it is established on the foundation of justice. Justice under man-made law is simply defined according to Black's Law Dictionary as a fair and proper administration of the law. It means that the purpose of making laws by man in a state is to achieve justice in that state. All sacred scriptures revealed before the Quran speak about justice. And this justice was also emphasized in the Holy Quran as the central theme of the message of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now in Islam, justice means placing things in their rightful places. In Islam, justice is a moral virtue. And in Islam, justice is an important attribute of human personality. Either in states governed by the Sharia or even the secular law, justice is regarded as one of the most essential of human rights. And as a matter of fact, it is within the context of justice that other aspects of human rights can be safeguarded or upheld or guaranteed. Without the right to justice, there cannot be right to freedom. Without the right to justice, there cannot be right to freedom of movement, freedom of association, and a host of other freedoms that are guaranteed in the Nigerian Constitution or any other constitution made by man. But in Islam, justice is seen beyond that. It is the only right that is absolute. Absolute in the sense that the right to justice cannot be qualified in any way, unlike other aspects of human rights. For example, people cannot be allowed unrestricted freedom to exercise their right to movement. The Constitution itself curtails this right and places limitations on them. But an exception to this is not the case with justice. Justice is absolute. It is everybody's right. It is the right of the rich in the society as well as the right of the poor. It is the right of the friends as well as the foes. It is the right in times of peace and even in times of war. During the time of peace, we talk about justice, rights to justice. Even when there is war, there is right to justice also. Justice in Islam cannot be qualified. The Quran establish justice on earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated this in Surah Al-Hadid, where it says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ." We have sent the prophets and messengers, and we have given them the book and due measure, with the commandment that people may establish justice on earth. The right to justice is so important in the Holy Quran that it permits all our aspects of human life, and that is why the Quran sees justice as a moral virtue. Now, in Islam, justice is not only the duty of the judges that are charged with the administration of justice. So it is not the only thing that exists in the courtroom, and neither is it restricted to the business of judges. In fact, it is the way people should conduct themselves in their dealings with one another, beginning from our nucleus family to the larger society. And that is why when you look at the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet, you will see where it encourages us to establish justice. The Prophet ﷺ reported in one of his traditions, ﷺ, be conscious of Allah and be just to your children. Be conscious of Allah and be just to your children. Meaning that in your dealings with your children, you are expected to uphold justice. So in Islam, justice is not just something that is associated with the courtrooms or when we are faced with the situation of interpreting the law. The Quran believes that the only way there can be peace in a society is for each and everybody to uphold justice. And that is why it has declared that it is the right of everybody in the society, regardless of your social status. The Quran declared in Surah Al-Ma'idah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين وإن يكن غنيا أو فقيرا فالله أولى بهما. That is the general context in which justice is described in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O you who believe, kunu qawwamina bil qisti." Stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to Allah. Stand out firmly as witnesses to Allah. Even if it be against yourself. That is to say, if a Muslim is faced, the need to do justice must be upheld. Even saying or upholding justice at that material time will be against your own interest. The Quran says you must uphold justice, not only yourself, or against parents or against your relatives, that even if it is against the rich or the poor. So in Islam, it is not always the case that if there is a dispute between the rich and the poor, one must be impartial to the rich because of his social status. You are expected to deal justly with the rich as well as the poor in the society. So this is what makes the concept of justice in Islam to be wider. It is more of a moral value and an element of human personality. Now, under the common law, we only talk of justice when it comes to the issue of either interpreting the law or administration of the law. And the whole essence of lawmaking is to achieve justice. They want to make the law to achieve a particular justice, to achieve a particular end. And that end must necessarily be just and fair to all those in the society. Now, in order to uphold the principle of justice under the secular law, certain concepts, legal concepts, have been evolved. And it is these concepts that guide the administrators in the dispensation of justice. We are going to examine some of these concepts with a view to seeing whether they are alien to Islam or they have been entrenched in Islam. It is worthy of note that these concepts are very recent in the true sense of the word under the man-made law. But in Islam, right from the time of revelation, all these concepts have been embedded into our law. Now we examine some of these concepts. What are those concepts? One is supremacy of the law. It is believed that without everybody holding the law to be supreme, there cannot be justice. And that is why when a constitution, the law of the state is made, the constitution is regarded as the supreme law of the land, and everybody is expected to be under this law, so that this law is supreme. Now, in Islamic law too, this principle is recognized because in the Sharia, the law of Allah is supreme. It is not subjected to the whims and caprices of the rulers. The rulers also are bound by the laws. And that is why no act or decision of any ruler or government authority will be permitted to contradict the laws of Allah. Just like in the Western concept when we say the supreme law of the land, say in the Nigeria, is the Constitution. Now any other law that is made and is found to be inconsistent with any provision or any aspect of this law, such law will be declared invalid or null and void to the extent of its inconsistency. That is why it is not uncommon to hear people criticizing laws either made by the National Assembly, and they say they are criticized mainly because they contravene certain provisions of the Constitution. Now, right from the time of the Prophet up to the time of the rightly guided caliphs, they have always respected this provision. That is to see that the law is supreme and that the caliph does not have the power to change the law, particularly where there is express provision in the Quran. I will cite an example. During the caliphate of Umar, radiallahu anhu, there was criticism against the abuse of dowry by women, so much so that it has been discouraged young men from going into marriage. And Caliph Umar felt the need to bring down this dowry so that young men will be able to marry and marriage will not become difficult for the Muslims to contract. He rose before the Jama'ah in the mosque one day and made a decree that henceforth dowry of women should not exceed the particular amount. And once the Caliph made such a decree, it has become the law. Immediately a woman from the congregation rose to challenge him that you have no such rights, because in the Quran says, وَآتَيْتُمْ كُنَّ قِنْطَارًا. The Quran has not placed any limits to it, and the word qintar indicates a very large or unquantifiable amount of money. So how can you come now when the Quran says even if you are to give them this amount of wealth, what right have you to now put a limitation to it? Then immediately Umar submitted and he declared before the congregation without any fear and said the Caliph is wrong and the woman is right. And as a result, the issue became rested. This is an example of supremacy of the law in Islamic Sharia. Now, another concept developed under the man-made law is equality before the law. That for justice to prevail in the society, everybody should be regarded as being equal before the law. In the Quran and the Sunnah, emphasis was made on equality, that there is no virtue for a Muslim over another Muslim except as it relates to taqwa. So in Islamic legal system, there cannot be one law for the ruler and another law for the ruled or for the subjects. But under man-made law, there is nothing like equality before the law. This is because the ruler is usually granted, in the legal terminology, what we call immunity, as we have for our governors and the presidents in the country today. So the fact that there will be this clause in the man-made law shows that we are not all of us are equal before the law. It means that the ruler can steal, the ruler can commit crime, and he cannot be subjected to any questioning. It means that the ruler cannot be taken to court. But in the Sharia, both the ruler and the subjects are equal before the law. Even the government authorities, those in authorities, they were not given any form of protection, in the sense that they can be sued either in their private or official capacities. But under the man-made law, this is not possible. Public officials are usually protected, and that is why we have some aspects of our law called Public Officers Special Protection Act. The meaning of this is that if you are a public official and you commit any crime in the course of your official duty, you are not answerable. You cannot be taken to court in your personal capacity. So how many times have we seen our government official taken to court in their private capacity? But the Prophet ﷺ, he did not claim immunity under the law while he was the head of state of the Muslims. As a matter of fact, he made a declaration when he made a decision involving a noble woman who had committed theft in the society. The case was brought to him, and because the woman who committed this crime belonged to the noble in the society, very important personality. So attempts were made to reach out to the prophets to overlook the crime and refuse to pass the sentence. Emissaries were sent to the prophet in this regard. But what was the prophet's declaration on this occasion? He said, "Verily, those who were before you were destroyed, because when the nobleman from amongst them committed theft, they passed no sentence on him. By Allah, at Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad committed theft, I would have had his hand cut off." So the prophet made it known that nobody is above the law, and that he was prepared to even pass sentence on his daughter if he were to commit any crime. Under man-made law, I doubt, or even if I don't doubt, have we seen instances when children of the rulers in the society would be brought to book? It has not happened, because the state will use all the powers to protect them, and not only their own children, but all others will be made to enjoy this special provision. Now, the Holy Prophet ﷺ, during the course of his last sermon, he publicly offered himself to the community, and he declared that if I had committed any wrong